Hey everyone, welcome back on Wikos. My name is Luke Ripa, and today in this special video I'm gonna explain to you what's happening with the WGA strike and what does that mean for Hollywood production in terms of movies and TV shows. So first of all, what is the WGA? WGA stands for Writers Guild of America, and it's the union of the writers in Hollywood. Now, this is not the first strike in the history of the WGA. The WGA is in fact the union that had the most strikes in Hollywood history. The last one was in end of 2007, start of 2008, and a lot of people remember that because there were a lot of consequences out of it. A lot of shows had their season shrunk, like Lost or Scrubs, and some movies didn't have the luxury of rewrite. However, why are the writers striking today? The first reason is the rise of streaming services and the consequential destruction of the TV release schedule. Before streaming services, there were three types of TV shows. Network shows, the ones on Fox, NBC, CBS, ABC, etc., that consisted of 20 to 24 episodes per season. They started in September, they had a break during the holidays and ended in May. Then you had mid-season shows, which also aired on networks, which lasted about 8 to 12 episodes, and they aired during the holiday season. Then you had premium cable shows, which were 8 to 12 episodes per season, and they had a much higher budget, but they also had much more writing time. Now, though, with the streaming services, that's not the case anymore. You can see it with Netflix. Netflix doesn't have a release schedule, really. They release the show whenever they want, and they make many more shows now. Hence, the writing time has shrinked, and the writer's room also have shrinked because you have much more demand for writers, and the writer's room become smaller and smaller as the time goes by. Hence, the work is much higher on the single writer, but the pay remains the same. So, as a consequence of smaller writing rooms, less schedule, which of course less schedule means less regular work, writers are demanding an increase for their minimum wage. Another reason for this strike is also the demand to regulate the use of AI in writing. In fact, every job now is influenced by the rise of AI. For example, it's news of yesterday that IBM cut more than 7,000 jobs, and all are to be substituted by the use of AI. And therefore, the WGA is asking to limit or regulate at least the use of AI on the part of Hollywood production companies. What are the consequences of this strike? Well, we are not gonna see the consequence of this strike right away, except for those shows that need a regular per day writing to be always up to speed with the contemporary facts. For instance, late night shows like Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon, they are not going on air, they're gonna go dark. Whereas TV shows and movie productions, we are not going to see a consequence until months from now. Network shows, we're in May, so most network shows have the scripts written up until the end of the season. And of course, premium cable shows won't be affected by this. For instance, Game of Thrones House of the Dragon had their script for the whole second season completed. In terms of movies, again, we will not see any consequences until probably a year from now. I think that the franchise that is going to be affected the most is the Marvel movies, because they tend to have a lot of rights and rewrites. So I think we're going to see yet another push in the schedule of Marvel Cinematic Universe movies in the upcoming months. During the strike, what can writers do and cannot do? Well, what can they do? Nothing except to accept payments for work they did previous to the strike. Since the strike started, they cannot write, they cannot work, and they can only do minimum work for other roles they are covering in their projects. For example, say James Gunn and the new Superman movie, he is not only the writer, but he's also the director and the producer. So he can work on it as a director and as a producer, but he cannot write anything anymore. Anyway, what do I think about the strike? I think that the landscape in the last decade, especially since the last strike in 2007-2008, the landscape in Hollywood changed drastically. If you think about it, in 2007-2008, Netflix was just a DVD rental company. Now it became a giant streaming service, and we had many more streaming services and much more demand for content, and that indeed needs to be regulated. You have again the rise of AI, which is threatening a lot of jobs everywhere, not just screenwriting, but even that needs to be regulated. So I think the WGA, which is the most powerful union in Hollywood, has a right idea to call in a strike. It's not like negotiations before the strike didn't happen. They were taking place. For sure they're taking place now, but it's gonna be a long road before Hollywood and the WGA comes to terms to a new deal. For the time being, none of your shows are gonna be affected. None of the movies you're gonna see that are coming out in the upcoming months are gonna be affected. But again, that could be in the future. And so anything that you can do is wait and see, and maybe show your support to the WGA if you think their cause is right. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. My name is Luke Ripa. Let me know down in the comments how did I do in this special, which is more political than entertainment related. And of course, if you like the video, be sure to follow us on all social media and share it with your friends and family and anyone who think is gonna be interested by it. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.